Hey everyone, welcome to day 24 of TryHackMe's Advent of Cyber, and today it's my absolute pleasure to help you complete the last task of this event, earning that beautiful certificate and badge. So let's jump onto the computer and see what TryHackMe has prepared for us. So yeah, first things first, even before starting with our task and reading through the story, let's just get our setup ready. So as you can see here, you have this big green button just on top of my head. Just press on that and wait a minute and you will have a virtual machine with this IP address and the time that you have left to complete the task. Now today we are not going to need our attack box, so let me show you how you can access the target machine. If you scroll all the way up to the top of the page, you can just click on this very big blue button here, show split view, and you're going to connect to the target machine. And as you can see, just after a minute or so, we have our Windows 10 client target machine. And I just changed the background so you can see things better, but yours should have like a TryHackMe Christmas wallpaper, but that's totally okay. Now, I don't really like using the split screen for the walkthroughs because my head is always in the way. I mean, as you can see, if I try to do something on the Windows 10 client, my head is totally here in the way, so that's not good, right? So what I like to do is I just press this little icon here, view in full screen, and as you can see, it will open this new tab and you can allow here on the top left for copy and paste. So that's pretty much it. That's all you need for the setup, and the only tools that you're going to need for today's task is this tool right here, Autopsy. So now we can just go back and read through the story and see what we have to do today. So let's go to the other tab, and if you see this connection error, you just have to press this exit split screen view and we're good to go. So let's just scroll down and go to our task for today. Alright, so we are back here and let's see what we have for our story. Detective Frost, I'm just going to call him Detective Frost because my French is not that good, continues to piece the evidence together, and Tracy McGreedy is now a suspect. What's more, the detective believes that McGreedy communicated with an accomplice. Oh wow. Smartphones are now an indispensable part of our lives for most of us. We use them to communicate with friends, family members and colleagues, browse the internet, shop online, perform e-banking transactions, and many other things. Among other reasons, it's because smartphones are so intertwined in our activities that they can help exonerate or convict someone of a crime. Frost suggests that Tracy's company-owned phone be seized so that Forensic McBlue can analyze it in his lab to collect digital evidence. Because it's company-owned, no complicated legal procedures are required. Alright, so from what I understood, we are going to collect Tracy McGreedy's phone to do a forensic analysis to see what he's up to. And it looks like that he is now a suspect, so yeah, that's very interesting. Now, for today, the learning objectives will be to learn about procedures for collecting digital evidence, challenges with modern smartphones, and also, again, using Autopsy digital forensics with an actual Android image. And remember, Autopsy is this tool right here that I just showed you. Alright, so let's read a little bit about what digital forensics is all about. So forensics is a method of using science to solve crimes. As a forensic scientist, you would expect to collect evidence from crime scenes such as fingerprints, DNA, and footprints. You would use and analyze this evidence to determine what happened at the crime scene and who did it. With the spread of digital equipment such as computers, phones, smartphones, tablets, and digital video recorders, a different set of tools and training are required. When it comes to digital evidence, the ideal approach is to acquire a raw image. A raw image is a bit-for-bit copy of the device's storage. So I guess that's what we are going to get today for Tracy McGreedy's mobile phone, the Android phone, and we are going to analyze what he is up to. Then forensics is an essential part of the criminal justice system. It helps to solve crimes and brings criminals to justice. However, for evidence to be permissible in court, we must ensure that it's not tampered with or lost and that it's authentic when presented to the court. This is why we need to maintain a chain of custody. And what is a chain of custody? Well, it's a legal concept used to track the possession and handling of evidence from the time it's collected at a crime scene to the moment it's presented in court. The chain of custody is documented through a series of written records that track the evidence's movement and who handled it at each step. Awesome. All of that makes perfect sense. Okay. In the following sections, we assume that we are dealing with computers and smartphones owned by the company or seized as part of a criminal investigation, of course. Just so you don't have any legal liabilities, you have to be sure that you have the authorization to perform the forensic analysis to these devices. Now, acquiring a digital forensic image. This can be challenging depending on the target device, and computers are more accessible than other devices. So we'll start our discussion by focusing on them. Okay, interesting. There are four main types of forensic image acquisition. We have static acquisition. A bit-by-bit image of the disk is created while the device is turned off. Then we have a live acquisition, which is the same but the device is turned on. Then we have a logical acquisition. A select list of files is copied from the seized device. And a sparse acquisition. Select fragments of unallocated data are copied. The unallocated areas of the disk might contain deleted data. However, this approach is limited compared to the static and live acquisition because it doesn't cover the whole disk. Alright, let's consider the following two scenarios. The seized computer is switched off. As a part of a crime scene, the investigators stumble on a live computer that's switched on. Okay, so we have these two situations. Let's see what will be the main differences between them. For a computer that is switched off, imagine the evidence is a Windows 10 laptop that's switched off. We know that by default the disk is not encrypted. We should not turn it on as this will make some changes to the disk and tamper with the evidence as a result. Removing the hard disk drive or SSD from the laptop and cloning it is a relatively simple task. We can use a write blocker, which is a hardware device that makes it possible to clone a disk without any risk of modifying the original data. We rely on our forensic imaging software to get the raw image or equivalent. This would create a bit-by-bit copy of the disk. And then finally, we need a suitable storage device to save the image. Alright. Now, for the computer that might be turned on, this is another example. In this case, we shouldn't turn it off. Instead, we should aim for a live image. The laptop might be encrypted, and shutting it down will make reading its data impossible without a password. Furthermore, data in the volatile memory, RAM, might be important for our investigation. When they're able to analyze a device that's switched on, investigators can gain access to the accounts and services the suspect is logged into. This can be indispensable in some instances to prove guilt and solve a crime. Various tools can be used. They usually require us to run a program on the target system, giving us access to all the data in the volatile memory and on the non-volatile memory, the disk. Now, for a smartphone, I think this is the one that we are going to face today. The smartphone is a ubiquitous digital device that we can expect to encounter. Modern smartphones are now encrypted by default, which can be a challenge for digital forensics. Without the decryption key, encrypted storage looks literally like random data. Finding the decryption key is crucial to be able to analyze the image. Let us briefly overview smartphone encryption before discussing and acquiring a forensic image of an Android device. Now here you can read through this and it's not really essential for our task today, but if you read through all of these, you will see the changes that were made when it comes to encryption in smartphones across all the Android versions described down here. So yeah, in this section we provided an overview of smartphone encryption. Ultimately, encryption can be a significant obstacle that digital forensic investigators need to overcome. Obtaining or discovering the encryption key is necessary for a complete digital forensic investigation. Alright, so finally we arrived at our practical case for today. So Tracy McCready's phone is company property, which is good. That means that we can use it for our forensic investigation without any legal complications. And the first thing that Forensic McBlue does is put the smartphone in a Faraday bag. A Faraday bag prevents the phone from receiving any wireless signal, meaning Tracy McCready can't wipe its data remotely. Now that McBlue has Tracy McCready's Android phone, it's time to get an image. He successfully unlocks the phone using the same password using to lock everyone out of the server room 3 weeks ago. The main tools McBlue uses for analyzing Android phones are Android Debug Bridge, ADB, and Autopsy Digital Forensics, which is the tool that we are going to use today. Once the phone is unlocked and connected to the laptop, creating a backup using ADB Backup is relatively easy. Here's what the exact command he uses. So by using this command right here, backup-all means that we want to backup all the applications that allow backups, and then we have -f androidbackup.ab, which just saves the file using this specific name. Now, the main limitation of ADB backup is that some applications don't support this option and they explicitly disallow backups with the setting allow backup equals false. Furthermore, although this option still works with a limited number of applications, it has been restricted since Android 12, so it's a good idea to rely on more robust alternatives. This backup of various applications is considered a logical image, but Forensic McBlue isn't satisfied. He wants a full raw image of the phone storage. Many commercial products can be used to acquire an image, however, most of them rely on the Android Debug Bridge, ADB, and combine it with other tools such as an exploit to gain root access. An Android device won't provide root access to the user unless it's for development purposes. This limits the ability to access many files and directories on the phone storage. Rooting an Android device gives full access to the device files, including raw access to the disk. Now, Forensic McBlue prepares a list of potential exploits that would give him root access to the Android device. After a couple of attempts, Forensic McBlue is able to exploit the phone successfully and get root access. With root access, he has full access to the physical storage. To confirm that he is root, he issues a command, who am I? He also needs to issue the mount command to find the mounted devices, but this would result in a very long list of all the real and virtual mounted devices. However, the application data is in the directory data. We need to focus our attention on the storage device mounted on data to filter for the lines mentioning data. And so because of that, Forensic McBlue uses this command, mount, and then he pipes it with grab data instead of just mount. So that way we can focus on just data. The output allows him to pinpoint the name of the storage device mounted on data, which turns out to be /dev/blog/dm-0. The interaction can be seen in the terminal below. So here we can see all the commands. So you have the who am I, we are root, and then we run mount pipe grab data, and we can see the storage device right here. As we learned from the command in the terminal above, the device is this one. Think of this device as a partition on the smartphone's disk. McBlue wants to get this whole partition and analyze it using Autopsy. There are many ways to leverage the power of ADB and get a raw dump of this device. One easy way is using ADB pool. So by using ADB pool, we specify the device and then we give it a name, which is going to be android.mcready.img. The command above will put the device, right? After a few minutes, the command will complete and a 6 gigs image is created. Note that we need root access for the above command to work on the Android device, but McBlue used some exploits and he managed to get the root access, so that worked. Now, all we have to do is import the image into Autopsy. The steps are straightforward, as we see in the screenshots below. Once we start Autopsy, we see a dialog box, whether blah 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 blah. Okay, we don't need this because TryHackMe created a case for us. So as you can see on this screenshot, once you open Autopsy, you can create a new case, you can open a recent case, and you can open a case, which is what we are going to do. Now here you can see how to create a new case, blah blah blah. But if we scroll down, by the way, this is the instructions for the setup. You can also connect to your VM using RDP. You have some credentials down here, but we are not going to use that because we have our machine right here on the second tab. So our setup is more than ready to go. Now, here's what's interesting. We have already created a case in Autopsy, like I just said, so you don't have to create a new one and wait for the ingest modules to analyze the data. Using Autopsy, open the Tracy McGreedy.aut case in the documents folder and check the questions below. Alright, so let's first check the questions to see what we are looking for. Alright, so one of the photos contains a flag. What is it? Okay, so we are looking for a photo, a picture. Alright, then what name does Tracy use to save Detective Frost O's phone number? Okay, so we are looking as well for a contact, or the name that he uses to save this contact. And then one SMS exchange with Van Sprinkles contains a password. What is it? Alright, so we are looking for a picture with a flag, we are looking for a contact name, and also for a password within one SMS. Okay, and then if you enjoyed this room, please check out, okay, TryHackMe also offers a room for Autopsy if you want to learn more about this tool. Now, what we are going to do to solve this is we are just going to open Autopsy. We wait a couple seconds. And now that it's open, I really hope that you can see this because this is a little bit small, but you can just click on Open Case right here. And now if you go to Documents and Tracy McGreedy's folder, we have this tracymcgreedy.aut and we are going to open that. So now we wait a little bit. Once everything is loaded, you'll see a lot of stuff here on your left side. Now, I know that the first thing that we are going to look for is photos and pictures. So I'm going to go through these file views and then I'm going to click on this little plus sign for file types, then by extension, and then I'm going to click on images. And if you click here, you'll see that a lot of stuff will pop up here on your right. So down here, close to the listing thing, you have this thumbnail button. And if you click on it now, at least you can see something. And you can also go here and press on large thumbnails. Oh, and wow, yeah, now you can really see what's going on. Now, if we are going for pictures, let me go. Okay, so there's a picture here. And if you click on it, you can see that it appears down here on your screen and you can zoom in if you need. So if our flag is like very tiny on the screen, you can try to go and zoom in and check for it. There's also a chance that it might appear here on the strings of the image and probably on the annotations. There's also metadata that you can check. But yeah, let's see. Oh, and looks like we just found it. It's right here. I was actually expecting this to be a bit harder, that we were going to have to go through the strings of the image and see if it was like hidden or something, but apparently no, it's just right here. Yeah, so it's TryHackMe and then digital forensics. So let me just go back and write that down. So you write that down, you press submit, and there we go. That's our first answer. Now, what name does Tracy use to save Detective Frost's phone number? Okay, so now there's two ways we can do this, because there's a lot of screenshots here, and maybe there's a screenshot of a text message or something like that. So let's see. Here is just a full backup. Here it's some other pictures. Okay, so here it's, let me zoom in. Okay, so here it's Van Sprinkles. Here it's also Van Sprinkles, so nothing related to the detective. Let me go and scroll up and see if we can find anything else. We also have some storage settings, date and time. Okay, it seems like we can't really find anything. Oh, wait, there's something here. Let me zoom in on this one. And there you go. As you can see here, Detective Carrot Nose, which is a much funnier name. So let me just write that down on our answers. And there we go. Let's press submit. That's correct, but there was an alternative way. As you can see here on the left, for data artifacts, you also have contacts. So if you click on that, you will see that our second contact here is Detective Carrot Nose. So that was the other way of finding it. So yeah. Now for the final question, because the last one is just for us to check the autopsy room and press complete. One SMS exchange with Van Sprinkles contains a password. What is it? Now, we saw some screenshots of the SMSs between McCready and Van Sprinkles down here, didn't we? Yes, but I don't think we have any passwords on these screenshots. So we'll probably have to go and check the messages. Again, on data artifacts, we can go through messages and okay, there's a lot of stuff here, which is interesting. Very interesting. Now you can check it one by one if you click on those, but we have this thing right here where we can just check the messages right away because the text is right here. So yeah, these messages are between McCready and who else? I can see them mentioning a password right here. Okay, is this correct? Hi, what's going up? I was going to write to you. Okay, there's a phone number here. And can we check if this is the right number? So this is 299 40 68 54. On the images, did we get his number? I don't think we did, but let me check. I just want to make sure. No, we don't have a number right there, but if we go to the contacts, Van Sprinkles 299 40 68 54, exactly, so that's him. So let's go back to the messages tab, and now we know that he's sending him a password, and the password is right here. This is very nice. Okay, so let's just copy the password and let's paste it to our answer, submit, and I think we're done for today. That was the task. So yeah, that's it for today's video, and I really hope that you enjoyed this year's edition of the Advent of Cyber. TryHackMe did an amazing job, and I learned a lot of new cool things, and I hope you did too. Lastly for me, I just want to wish you a Merry Christmas if you celebrate Christmas, and if you don't, Happy Holidays, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!